Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmas Timimi Rosi Ruspas Mordechai. That is the sound of no one in this room. Final day here in Chicago, Bezer Hashem, on my way back to Eretz Yisrael. It's morning here in Chicago. Usually I give this share at night, but we are on the way to the airport. Bezer Hashem, Tuesday night, picking up with the Hebrew shir on Daf Ayin, and then the following morning, Wednesday morning, Daf Ayin in English in Peretz Yisrael. Today is the following day of the Omer, depending where you are when you're watching this, but this is a reminder, L'ilui Nishmas, the young 10-year-old girl, Sarah Bas David. Hi, Rebelli. I was 25, 30 days daf behind by Pesach. I did not do what you always say to do. You just keep on going with the daf on the day. Chalamoid came and I told my wife and kids that I need to get up to date with the daf. I did go one day to have some fun with the family. I did 4, 5, 6, and 9 dafs a day. And Baruch Hashem, I'm up to date again, Baruch Hashem. Never in my life learned so much in such a short time. It's your power, your credit for putting in your Talmidim the love to learn the daf. Thank you. Shloimi Fisher, Yisha Koya. Let's see if we're going the right way. Yeah. A&H Berger, Harav Agoyim. A number of years ago, Reb Zev left Shlita, Moshav Matasiyahu, spoke in the White Show. After Reb Feiner introduced him, he started off, Mitzvah lefarsim divrei hanes. A great nes occurred. When I left the house, I was saying 20 minutes ago, I was not a goyim, and now I'm a goyim, going back to the different titles that we have today. My name is Eliezer Wolf. I'm in 6th grade, 11-year-old kid, and I'll be 12 this Wednesday. I've been dafing with you since Bava Metzia Daf Aleph. Also learned Tainus and Zechus with you. Attached is a picture of Rabbi Bloom in Toronto. I'm sorry, I couldn't get to the picture, and it was a interesting attachment. Maybe Yosef will be able to grab it. Rabbi Bloom in Toronto doing the daf with all of his MDY merch. The day before I met him, I decided to take a break from doing the daf for a week so that I could finish Chagiga for my birthday. An 11-year-old wants to do a Siyum or Masechta for his birthday, for his 12th birthday. Unbelievable. When I met him, he gave me chizuk to continue, no breaks. No break. Eliezer Wolf, Chelchal Araisa, you should finish many Masechtas, you finish Shach soon. Ariel Elitov. As I mentioned in the past, I live in Beitar and give a daf shir too. I know that I know what it is preparing a Zuneshech and Azov during Ben Azmanim and Chag. I can't get over how you manage with all your travels. It gives me chizuk just seeing your Mesiras Nefesh. Yishkoyach. I have to tell you this story. I'm writing in English, but please say it over in the Hebrew shir because it has to do with the listeners of the Hebrew shir. My daf Bruce is an Israeli who used to learn with his brother, who was working on stringing 3 years. They haven't learned together. When you started the Hebrew shir, I told my chavrusa about it, and every so often he listens to the shir. He loves the enthusiasm and yishma. This morning he told me how he's talking to his brother, and his brother told him that he's listening to your shir in Hebrew and he can't go a day without it. How did his brother hear about the shir? One day he called up his neighbor at 11:30, but his neighbor said he's in the middle of a daf shir. Being surprised that his neighbor's in the daf shir, he asked which one. And he was told about your shir, and ever since he has been hooked on it. Keep inspiring many more to the sweetness of Torah. Ariel Elitov, Yishkoich Mark. Here's the picture that we were looking for. Rabbi Bloom. Oh, Rabbi Bloom. I know this guy. Shkoyach. Is he a Rebbe in Cheder? No. Maybe just saying that he saw. He's our rep in Toronto. Shkoyach. Got it. Okay, what else do we have? Rabbi Yisai, let's do the sponsorships. The Masech is anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. The Paras HaChodesh, the Nishma Zechariah Ben Moishel, the Nishma Chaya Bas Yosef. Paras Hayoy, we're down to one. Paras HaChodesh. Excuse me. Paras Hayoy, on Yom Hazikaron, dedicate your Daf Yomi learning for a fallen soldier. Lekedoshim.com. LEKEDOSHIM.com. Parnas Hayoim, Mazel Tov on the Bar Mitzvah Yisrael Goldman. You should continue to give Yiddishe Nachas to his parents, Yosef and Chaya, Aliza Goldman, and the extended Goldman and Levin families by Zaidy and Bubby, Peretz, Chaim, and Zahava Levin. Mazel Tov. Parnas Hayoim, the Weinberg family, Lilu Nishmas Elia ben Avraham, our father's second yahrzeit is in the Neshama should have an Aliyah. The MDY headquarter, coffee corner, Vladislav Zakharov, and the zechus that I finally find a job. And MDY, Mishpachas MDY, is wishing Chanamalka Bat Yeta to hear great news today, Be'ezer Hashem. Everybody, Psuras Toivas, Yeshuas, Nechamas, the hostages should come home, the war should be over, Chalai Yisrael shouldn't know any more pain. But boys, we're holding Daf Samaches Amud Beis towards the bottom, 5 lines from the bottom. And I have a question for the Oilo. This is very interesting. Think about this. Can I give you money, give you $1,000 right now, so that you should give my friend a loan, an interest-free loan? I, Eli Stefansky, give Mark Ashkenazi $1,000, and Mark Ashkenazi will give Yossi Klein a $100,000 loan, interest-free. Is that mutter also? What do you say? Believe it or not, it's mutter. We're going to have it in the Gemara. Says the Gemara like this: Bnei Rav Ilash nofak alayu ahushtoro. The sons of Rav Ilash, big Talmid Chacham, when he was nifter, they brought a star. Daviksiv bei palgo ba'agar palgo behefsid. The father of Ilash, he worked and he did iska. He did a deal where he's going to work the field or whatever it is, and he'll divide the profits. Half profit, half he'll take upon himself the loss. Now, when you work, so we said, let's talk about iska for a second. Here's the case of iska. There's a merchant. So Rav Ilash is the merchant. The Balabais gives the merchant product, and they divide the profit. Now, it says in the star that the merchant, Rav Ilash, he was taking upon himself half of the loss. Now, when you take upon yourself half of the loss, so we have a problem here of ribis. Why? Because he was working for the part of the pikadon, the part of the deposit, and for that part, he's making a profit. That could be ribis. Omarova, Rav Ilash gaver rabahu. So what did we see yesterday? The way to get out of this really is for the financier, the balas chayra, for him to pay the merchant for his work. So we had a machlokes. What does he have to pay? One shita was he pays the most minimum thing, a dip in the fish brine. Another shita was the highest one was one said whey. We had also pile butter. So that's the way, but it doesn't mention anything in Rav Ilash over here. It doesn't say that he received anything in lieu of his work. So it seems like there's a problem of ribis. Why? Because Rav Ilash is paying the balas chayra, is paying him extra for lending him the product. There's no way in the world Rav Ilash would be over in ribs. So therefore, let me just show you real quickly. So the Gemara says either, whatever it is, the profits must be more than the loss. So either Rav Ilash took upon himself a third of the loss, but he'll get a half a profit, or if he took half the loss, so he'll get 2/3 profit. regardless, the point is, if Rav Elish's profits are always more than the loss, then there's no ribis, because he's getting paid through profit. He's getting paid more than the other guy. The merchant is getting paid more than the wholesaler. If it was 50-50, why is he only getting 50%? He's working. He's doing all the work. Oh, he's not getting 50%. He's getting 2/3. He's getting 1/2. But the owner's only getting 1/3 of the loss. The kids here, the profits have to be more than the loss. And when you understand that, then this becomes very easy. We'll leave this on for a second here. If he took upon himself half of the gain, and palga behefsed, trey tilde ba'agar. Okay. Omar Rav Kahana. Amrit l'shmayt kamid Rav Zvid minardo. V'omar li dilma Rav Elish tevel imoy b'tzirava. Why do you have to come up to such a thing that he was getting more profit, less profit, that the profit was more than the... Why don't you just say that Rav Elish dunked his bread in the brine? V'omar li dilma Rav Elish tevel imoy b'tzirava. We just show that for a second, the brine, here we go, the fish with the brine. That's also enough. A little piece of bread in the brine is enough. It's symbolic. Or that's his char. Or Rav Nachman, I love Reb Yehuda, we said I love Reb Yehuda, that brine is enough. Doesn't say that we pass like that. Elo shititmar. Since it says in the Gemara, the halacha is like him, and the halacha is like weighs enough, and the halacha is like poil bottles enough. The halacha is that the halacha was that if there's a mother and a calf, you don't have to pay for the calf for carrying the calf on the shoulders. This is just a shita. This is showing that we're going lekula over here, but not that we pass like that. Interesting that at the end of the first Taisus, all the way at the end, he says that any time the Gemara says the halacha is like this, the halacha is like this, and the halacha is like that, we don't pass like that. Because as the Gemara says over here, it makes sense. Why is the Gemara have to say that Allah is like this one, Allah is like this one, Allah is like that one? Just say the best one, the one that's most makel. Which is the one that's most makel? Fish brine. That's worth the least. Whey actually has some value in the market. What's fish brine? It's nothing. So let me love Reb Yehuda, the Mekel Mekulu. The fact that he kept on piling it up and bringing more and more sheet, that shows that you don't really believe that the halacha is like that. You're just showing a certain shita that they had. We have a shita like this in chinuch. That's our shita. Once you have a shita like that, it's not very good because each kid is different. This is a shita. Omarav. So again, we're talking about a guy. He's the merchant. He takes product from the wholesaler and he sells it, and they divide the profit. So he said, if he gets paid for his work, great. If not, not. So one way to pay him is with fish brine. Another one is if he says, anything above a third profit goes to you. You're gonna profit share more than the wholesaler, and therefore that's your payment. Now, you know what that's called? This is called tzad echad beribis. There's a chance that there won't be ribis. Why? Because he's gonna share profits above a third. There's also a chance that it will be ribis, will be below. But tzad echad beribis, Rav says doesn't work. According to Reb Yehuda, we said it's good. But Rav holds, we're talking about in Rav now. So it says Tosfos, because it's so common to make that kind of profit, it's already much more than a tzad echad. It's like not ribis. We know that he's going to make more than a third. Okay. And what if it doesn't produce a third more? He should go home empty-handed. In other words, translation, ribis, he just worked. He did all this work. He's splitting whatever he's splitting with you, and you got your money back. So you got your money back plus. That's already ribbis. And he didn't get that extra. If there's no third, if he's not going to gain that money, you're going to give him a dinner. Does Rav really hold that we don't give a dinner? You take the head of the animal and you give it to the one that fattens the animal. My love, what's the case? He typically gives the fattener guy, the guy that fattens the animal, he gives him a third. Above anything above the third is the profit plus the head. So you see that he already said that there's a head involved there. He gives extra, like a dinner. One or the other. He tells him to begin with, I'm either going to give you more than a third profit, or I'm going to give you the head of the calf. But it's not both. When the Rav say that you're permitted to give above the third profit, anything above a third profit goes to the merchant, you have to give a dinner? No, he said in a case where the merchant has his own animal. So there's not a lot of work going on here. You don't really have to pay him for his work. On this day has his own animal. The Army ancient people say, Gabala Toire. If you're already mixing the fodder, you're already mixing the food, so you already mix for another person. You're already making challah for one person, you're making for a second person. It's not that much harder. So Memela, that's why you don't really have to pay him. Rabbi Boys, I want you to pay attention to the story. Tell me what you think you can learn out of the story. It's a gewaldige story. Rabbi Lazar Mahagroina. Story with Rabbi Lazar, Zavim Behema, he bought an animal, he gave his animal over to his guy that's a professional fattener. Here, take this animal, make something out of him, make him a mensch. I want to sell him soon. I want him a geschmack of fat animal. And he went. Rabbi Lazar ben Agroino gave this mefatim guy, gave him a head. Here's your schar. And in addition, v'yoiv palgaratcha. This is what they used to do. We said, you're getting 50-50 split on the profits. Okay, that's normal. In addition, I'm also giving you the head of the animal. So his wife tells him, if you were partner with him, just partner up with him, give him a few bucks. You become a partner with the animal, and then you'll get a lot more. You'll get even the tail you'll get. So he went and he gave him some money. So he became partners in the animal. And then and he gave him half of the tail. Whoa, you're not going to give me the head? Only the tail? He tells him, well, I don't understand. I'm worse off than before? Before, when I wasn't a partner, you gave me the head. Now that I'm a partner, I don't get the head. What's going on? Before that, I was the only investor. It was all my money. If I wouldn't give you a little bit more than 50%, we were dividing, sharing profits. 50% to me, 50% to you. If I wouldn't give you a little bit more, what do we say? That's called ribbis, mefsiki ribbis. So that's why I had to give you the head. But now that we're partners, my commerce. So you claiming, that you worked a little bit more? I mean, most sharecroppers, they work hard for the owner. They go, they bring to different places to graze, whatever they need to do. So what do we learn from the story, Rabbi Yosef? So some people will say, you see from here, never listen to your wife. Comes to business, never listen to your wife. No. And sometimes you should listen to your wife. Sometimes the wife should listen to you. Or some could say, and this might be a better shot. What are you getting involved? What are you trying to make your panos some more? This is what you got. You got good. You try to overdo it. It's going to end up hurting you. Okay, no shot. I want to say just a very, very simple thing, something practical. When it comes to business, if you don't spell it out straight out, you can assume whatever you want to assume. It doesn't mean that the other person is going to assume the same thing. That's where all the fights start. He assumed if he adds a couple of dollars, he's going to get everything plus the tail. And it turns out, no. A lot of times, that's where the issues are. Don't assume that your partner understands what you're talking about and that he understands your split. And he understands that if you're going to do X, Y, Z, you're gonna give him because you would have done so and so. Okay, you would have done that, but he doesn't do that. So in Mela, it's kedai to put it in writing. Zog de'ili gemara. Toner rabbanon. Hashom behemel chaveru. Again, when you assess an animal, so basically you're saying, I'm assessing this animal, you're going to work for me, you're going to do something with this animal. I'm assessing it now. Why? Because you're going to take upon yourself, you're going to get half the profits, you're going to take half the loss. We're assessing. So how much? So we had already in the Mishnah something similar. You have to work a donkey until he's able to carry a load, etc. So now the Gemara gives us other numbers here. Perhaps we're talking about another type of animal at a different stage of its life. When it comes to donkeys, 18 months. When it comes to smaller animals, 24 months. But if you're trying to divide these animals earlier, your friend will stop you from doing so. In other words, let's say you have to watch this donkey for 18 months. So if you try to give it back after 10 months, you can't do so. You're stuck watching it for 18 months. Why? Because that's the minute. His friends say, absolutely not. I'm not taking him back within 18 months. But the word but is what we want to talk about. We're going to change the word but. But the second year is much harder than the first year. Says Gemara, Aval, my Omer, like, how does this word but fit in here? You have a nice picture here. Oh, year one, the guy could sit back on his couch, put the baby in the crib or whatever. It's not mamish like that. It's a little bit of this. Yoshi probably never took care of his kids when they were a year old. But okay, year two, the kids are ready. Look at the drawing on the wall. Drew a beard on me. The whole thing, because the guy yesterday said that how would Ellie look with a beard here? Drawing on the wall. Now he's already using his iPad. It looks like he got a little older, the guy on the right. But he's starting to have some gray hairs from all the tzaras, from the kid climbing everywhere. Okay. The kids are year two to take care of the animals harder than year one. Oh, if I'm taking care of the animal and the animal had a baby, how long do I have to take care of the baby? Either 30 days for the smaller animal or 50 days for the larger animal. Why? So Rashi says this is the time that we give when you give an animal to Chaim. So if it's a smaller animal, you give it to him when he's 30 days old, larger animal, 50 days old. So it's based on that. In other words, when you have a birth in your farm, you take care of it for the first 30 days. Don't pass it over to the owner when it's 2 days old and what he's going to do with it. You're the farmer, you take care of it until 30. That's what the Torah says, and by a larger animal. 90 days. You have to take care. There's a lot of stuff going on to take care of the youngster. What does it mean? We have also a gewaldige picture here. A boy said, gewaldige picture. This is Tipula Meruba, the mother or whatever, but since it doesn't have teeth, so it's harder to feed, and therefore you have to spoon feed the hay like that or whatever you do. Oh, so at the end of the day, the original owner should come pick up the young calf. If he doesn't, from now we start dividing the profits of this young calf 50-50 in the young calf. In other words, 50-50 is already, a calf was born before, the day it was born, 50% to the wholesaler, 50% to the merchant, 50% to the shepherd, whatever you want to call him. Now, after 3 months or whatever the period of time is, now it's time to take your 50% animal home. You don't want them. So now we're starting a new iska. 50% of every calf that was born, now we're going to divide that 50 in half, 50-50. So the shepherd's going to get 3/4 because it's a brand new deal. From here on out, it's a brand new deal on the 50% of the calf. So half goes to me, half goes to you of that. Rashi points out that there's no need to give extra zechariah. Usually when there's a 50-50 deal of an iska, you have to pay for the work. Over here you don't have to pay for the work. Why? Because 50% of the calf is yours. So you're going to be dealing with this calf anyway, so there's not such a concern that it looks like rivers. Rabbi Menashe took half of his and another half of his friend. So it came in front of the Abayah. In other words, the explanation is, says Rashi, you have to do shuma. You have to assess it in front of Dayanim. You have to do something professional. You can't just grab animals on your own. What if this animal is a nice, strong one? This one is a weak one. You can't just go and chop your own stuff. Bring it, do an official shuma, then you could divide it like that. And then in addition to that, this place where you did it, you had the obligation to take care of it for a few months. You don't have the right just to grab your animal and dump off the other animals by his doorstep. You have to take care of the animal. Says Gemara, there's 2 kusim. Some say it's not mamish kusim, maybe they're Jews. Okay, they came from kus, but 2 people. They had a partnership. Okay, they own a store together. At the end of the day, there's $1,000 in the till. The partner went, took 50% for himself, and he left 50% for his friend. He didn't like it. Also, come in there, Papa. What are you doing? Says Reb Papa, it's not a problem. I don't even understand the Havamina. What was his problem? Look, Reb Nachman says when it comes to cash, it's as if it's already divided. Says Gemara, but the story continues. Oh, great partnership. Let's purchase wine together. So the other guy that he felt that he was wrong the year before, he decided to do the same trick on his friend, return the favor. So he went and divided the wine without telling his friend. He took 50% of the barrels of wine and he left the 50% for his friend. Also, the Kamidra Papa. Who told you you could do that? I see you coming after me, Rebbe. Yeah, last year you said that my Shutef Ruvain had the right to divide the money in half and leave me a pile of cash. Today, when I do it and I divide the wine in half, now you tell me I can't do it. I always lose with you. What's going on here? Rav Papa. Sorry, this is Rav Papa Daf Samach Tes. Amud Beis. No. You're wrong. It's different. The 2 cases are different. Did he take the good ones and leave you the broken ones? The ones that are missing weight? No. He took $500 and he left you $500. When it comes to wine, every barrel is a different flavor. Every barrel comes out differently. Who told you to split up the wine? Maybe you took the better wine and you left him the stuff that's not very good. So Mela, you're not allowed to do so. So before I go to the sponsors, we'll just take the sponsors here to make sure we do it. That's a show we missed. The beautiful Taisus here. Taisus says, what's going on here? Why does Rav Papa have to explain himself? The halacha is that you don't have to explain yourself. A dayan could just say, whatever he feels like this is Allah and Shalom Yisrael. He says no. When a person comes to you b'taina and he says, last year you said the opposite halacha, seemed like a good taina. So for that, there's the concept of Yisem Nekim, Hashem Yisrael Yisem Nekim. The person has to be clean, has to show that what he did was for a reason. If the guy doesn't understand your psak, too bad. But if there's a contradiction in your psak from year to year, that you should go ahead and explain it. The Taz on the Torah, the Sefer, he says on the pasuk Ki Yelochem Dovar Bo Eli, something happens, come to me. V'shafati ben Ishu ben Reyehu. So he's medayik in the lashon. It's the lashon Rabbim versus the lashon Yachid. Bo Eli, maybe Yavoy. V'shafatatim, v'shafatati. Bekitzer v'shafatati is Yachid, and then there's a weiter lashon Rab. So he says, what's pshat? Because when there was Ubai Eli means Ubai came last year, like our story. Then you have to explain yourself. That's what he's been dying from the pasuk. Gufa. Oh, so we have to do the Kidnovations. In honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman and as zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga, official Mitzvah motivators, I forgot to write it down, the new one. In honor of the Lemans for sponsoring Sfarim for the daily Ner Talmud learning. The Goldman brothers for the yard sites of our grandfathers, Achav Moshe ben Rechmilo Shalom and Rav Aliza, Moshe ben Reb Shema Zatzal. Zogimar Guf Amar Reb Nachman. Zuzay, when you're dividing money between partners, command the pligidomits. It's already divided. Hanamili Tave Vitave. If you're going to take the same type, Tikuli Vitikuli, Al Tave Tikuli Loy. There's different types. There's the older money that weighs more. There's the newer money. Some people want the newer, some people want the older for different reasons. It weighs better, it does better. This is newer. Okay, so you don't want to mix two types of money. But we're talking about that they're all the same. It's all new denominations, and we're doing the same thing. Everybody's getting the same exact, so that's fine. Yeah. Very, very interesting. It's hard to understand almost. But Rav Chama would rent out his money for a small amount every day. L'chayr, it sounds like ribbis. Isn't that ribbis? I'm renting out money. I'm lending you money and you have to give me back. That's renting. No. Because if he's renting it, in other words, he's taking the responsibility of the oinus. If you're a borrower, you're a shoyel, you're responsible for everything, even a oinus, when it's not your fault. But a soicher, a guy that rents, he's not chayav on oinus. So he took the responsibility on himself. Says the Gemara, Kol Zuzah de Rav Chama. The Vilna Gaon points out that, so first let's say what the Gemara says over here. The Gemara says that all his money went five. He lost everything. Why? Because he was dealing with ribbis. He felt that it was a ribbis. The Gemara explains that it is a ribbis. Who savar ma'ishna memara? Why is this different than a shovel? V'loi mara, I could rent out a shovel. Mara hadra be'ino v'yidia b'chase. You give back the same exact shovel. I rent you shovel A. You return shovel A. I see that some of it is missing. There's a little bit of wear and tear. But money, you're giving back a completely different money. Okay. So Mamela, this is something you cannot do with money. You can't rent money. The Vilna Gaon says, however, that if, it seems like, these different sources, that if you take upon yourself gneva v'aveda, like a shomer chinam, then it seems like it would be mutter to rent out the money. Take upon yourself all responsibilities, then you could rent out the money. Omarov. Boys, this is a shocker. I think this is a tremendous halacha. This is how I started this year. A person is permitted to tell his friend, Heilach arba zuzeh. We're talking about three people here. Reuven tells Shimon, you're a millionaire. I need you to give my friend Levi $1 million, interest free. Because you're going to do that, here, I'm giving you a gift, here's $10,000. That's not ribbis. Why? Because the ribbis comes from me, Reuven, to Shimon, and Shimon gives the loan to Levi. I'm going to give you 4, and you're going to give money, you're going to lend money to my friend. Why? Unbelievable halacha. The Torah asks you from taking money from the lender to the borrower. But if there's a third person involved, it's mutter. Provided, again, I'm not a Rav, ask your local rabbi. But some of the halachas that are very important are the borrower can never be involved here in any way, shape, or form. In other words, the borrower cannot give money to his friend that he should be the middleman and give it to the lender. He also cannot tell the lender, hey, by the way, my friend is very good for his money. He's going to give you a nice gift if you give me a loan. It came from another person. No, but he's involved. Oh, yeah, reminds me of that story. I had a crazy story in Yisrael. A guy comes to me and says, when are you going to give me the $50,000 that you pledged for my school? I'm like, what school? Tells me the name of the school. I'm like, I never pledged $50,000 to your school. He says, what do you mean? So-and-so said that if I accept his kids to my school, that you are going to give $50,000 to the school. I said, I know that other person, but I never had this discussion with the other person. I never said something like that. Kids are, I think the kids stayed in the school. I don't know what happened at then. Anyway, but you can't be involved. You can't be that borrower that promises the lender that he's going to get a gift from another source. Amazing thing. Listen to this, Rabbi Yisrael. There's a thing. There's a few gemachim like this. I think it's an amazing thing. And this is what I'm saying, that the halachas of ribbis apply on a day-to-day. There's a gemach in Eretz Yisrael. If you give them 300 shekel a month, close to $100 a month, for 190 months, they will give your kid a loan. They'll give you a loan for a wedding, 250,000 shekel. It happens to be that they give back 30, I think it comes out to like 50-something thousand shekel that you give them, but you get back 30-something thousand shekel. The bottom line is this ribbis or not? Every single month, I have to pay a gemach $100, and in return, they're going to give a loan, an interest-free loan. So the answer is, the way they do it is they give the loan to the child directly. They don't give it to you. The child has to sign on the loan. Buying an apartment with this and this money, a large sum, because the father put in money. That's mutter because of this Gemara right over here. That the father is the third person. He's a third party. He's giving a gift to the gemach, and in lieu of the gift, the gemach is going to give a loan to the son. That's what it says here. They go, they do heter isk also, and they do it tonight. It's a whole Torah how they do it. But that's what they do. I guess the gemach gains that they constantly have cash flow. They always have money coming in, new money coming in. Some actually stays in the gemach, and that's how they do it. Just thought it was very interesting. Another halacha, here, take 4 zuz. I'm giving you slightly different. The borrower could go, instead of going directly to the lender, he goes to the middleman. He knows the middleman has connections. He has pull with the gemach. The borrower could go to the guy with the connections and give him a payment and say, here, take this money, and with this money you're going to go and convince the gemach to give me a loan. You know what's going on there? The borrower is giving money to a third party to do the job, to do the convincing that the gemach, the bank, should give him an interest-free loan. That's mutter. My time is zechara mira kashakel. He's paying him for his negotiation skills, but that's it. The Gemara says, and I'll bring you a raya, and this is like the gemach with the weddings. The son of Rav Papa that we just spoke about, Rav Papa, he's very wealthy. He had a beer factory. So the son would do business. Almost reminds me now of a certain president in the United States where the son was negotiating with other countries to get different deals done, right? So this son of Rav Papa would take wax, and in return he would get his father Rav Papa to give a loan. So this is amazing because the father wants the son to benefit. It's a great business for the son. Nevertheless, it's not considered ribis. Now that the son of Rav Papa received this gift, he goes and convinces his father to do a deal with that guy that gave him the gift. No good. This is ribis. This is okay. Over here, he's only taking money for his words, and that's mutter. The bottom line is to give the money directly to the malva. Like, for me to give a middleman money, so the middleman should give money to the malva, like we said before, it's awesome. All right. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored in appreciation of myself and all the chevra, including Mark Ashkenazi, who's in a restaurant right now, stopped on the side of the road, went to a restaurant, had to order food so that he could be behind the scenes today. One chesed after another, Yishkoyach Gadol. Hopefully you won't have to do this for a while. Says the Mishnah, we spoke about this yesterday. I'm going to work on these animals. I'm going to split the profit with the owner. 50-50. That's a problem, right? Why? Because I'm not getting paid for my work. I have to get paid for my work. So since it's since it produces, it's a cow. It's a donkey who's going to carry stuff for me. It's going to plow. So that's my profit. Makoim. So in other words, he doesn't have to add the tzir shel dagim, the whey, the brine. No, my profit is I get the milk right directly from the animal. I get to use the animal. Makoim. Oh, lemechza. Maybe I missed that word. Lemechza, because we're dividing 50-50. So I'm getting more than 50 because I'm getting paid with the milk. The place that they would divide the babies, the calves, after 30 days, 50 days, cholkim, that's the way we do it. If you have to do 18 months, do more. So says, no, if a person is dealing also with the adult, the larger animal, the adult animal, so the calf, he doesn't have to get paid for that. Why? Because he's getting so much milk from the mother. He's getting so much benefit from the older donkey that the baby is just after it's nothing. This is an incredible halacha. We're going to get into it right now. That you could demand more rent on your field, and you don't have to worry about ribis. So let's see what it's talking about. Tana Rabban, mafriz asadeyu. The owner of the field takes more rent from this guy. Doesn't have to worry about it. Why? What happened? The typical price is 10 per year. And the renter says, listen, let's do a deal. You give me a loan of 200, but this is the key word, I'm going to invest this money into your field. And in return, I'm going to give you more money for the rent of the field. Typically, I pay 10. I'll pay 12 for the field. Why? Because you give me a loan. So I'm giving you 12, which is extra money instead of 10, in lieu of a loan. Isn't that ribis? No. The reason why it's not ribis in only this very specific case is because I'm reinvesting into the field. I'm taking your money so that I can reinvest, plow, fertilize. I'm making your field better. I'll give you a muscle. Here, it's similar to what the Gemara says later on, but by us in the real estate business, like we try to get people to renew their lease when at the end of the year, right? So that's the whole struggle. We come to them at the end of the year and say, listen, the rent is going up a little bit. So they start threatening, we're going to leave, we're going to go to another place. Okay, so then sometimes, depends on the matzav and how, right now, if there's a waiting list, it's different, but sometimes they tell you, well, we want something in return. We want you to paint the apartments. You say, okay, fine, we'll paint the apartment. So I say, listen, we'll even give you a package of lighting. We'll give you brand new chandelier and then lighting fixtures and this and that. So the thought behind it, at least for me, is I'm giving the renter something, but at the end of the day, I'm investing my own property. Now my property became more valuable. So after they leave, I still have those nicer fixtures. Paint, not so much, because paint usually we have to paint every single time they move. Doesn't matter how long they're there, we have to repaint the apartment. But let's say light fixture, a new refrigerator. I want a new stove. You have a new stove, but now, okay, so yes, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be brand new, but at least now this apartment has brand new stuff. Okay, so that's the nakuda over here. I'm giving you a loan, but really you're taking that money to invest in my field. That's why it's not so much of a loan. Tell him times is about finance. Aval and is la'alacha a mafriz le'al chanus. You cannot do the same thing with the store. I'm renting you the store, and I'll give you extra money so you can invest in merchandise. V'le'al svila, and not for merchandise for the food for the boat. Why? Because merchandise doesn't help the owner of the store at all. Sometimes, I have a property. We have a restaurant. The guy invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in the restaurant, and then he left. So he left us. It's a gift, right? That's actual. Now it's easier for us to rent it out to another restaurant. Sometimes it's a hassle. Depends on the thing. So here also, the Gemara says, sometimes it is good for a store. Sometimes when you invest in the store, you make a beautiful painting on the store. Now people want to come. They rather go to the nice store than the store that's not painted. It doesn't have this nice depiction. Svina Las's law, Zechurya, a sale, the mask, whatever it is. I'm investing, I'm putting a new engine in the car. Gewaldig, it's great for the owner of the car. People love it, they pay more money for that. You have a nice new sale, Kiva the Shapiro. Since it's better, Iscariot, it's a nicer sale. Iscariot Shapiro, Iscariot, it's better. Agrit, you get more money for that. Says Gemara Aloha Sfinto. It comes to boat. Omarav agro fagro. Seems like a contradiction. You could take rent for the boat, but you also take if there's any damage to the boat. Now, damage to the boat would mean that he's a shoyel. Rent means he's a soicher. So which one is he? Is he a renter or is he a borrower? Only a borrower pays for damage. A renter doesn't really pay for damage. Or the regular wear and tear, whatever it is. Yeah, if you had an accident, I understand, but that's already pshia. Rent a car is a little different. What's going on here? It's one or the other. If it's a loan, then it's ribis. If it's a schiros, you shouldn't have to pay. Shasik Rav. Kivegir here on the side says, Ayin, in another Masechta where he brings down all the places in Shas where Rav was quiet. Or Rav Sheshes. My time is Shasik Rav. I don't understand. Rav has a great reason to believe what he said. Lishmile, you didn't hear this? The Tanya, Avishom Reimik Havim Tzoyin Barzim Yisrael. Tzoyin Barzel, remember when we had by a woman, there's Nichsei Tzoyin Barzel, Nichsei Below. Tzoyin Barzel is the idea that whatever, let's evaluate the sheep, because usually it's done with sheep. So it's called Tzoyin Barzel. Today, how much are your sheep worth? $100,000? I have to give you $100,000. Regardless of what happens, if a storm comes and kills them all, I have to give you $100,000. That's Barzel. It's solid like metal. Let's make that deal. And I give you these $100,000 worth of sheep. We evaluate them. And now we're going to split profits 50-50. What is that called? Ribis. I gave you $100,000. You have to return $100,000 plus profit, half of the profit. Now, it's possible that there won't be a profit at all. Maybe there'll be a loss. Okay, so that's why it's ribis d'Rabbanan, not d'Oraisa. So, you're not allowed to do this with a Jew. You're allowed to take and give ribis to a non-Jew. He said, this is something slightly different. If we evaluated a cow, and he said, I have to leave to the airport in 10 minutes. What if he says, here's your cow, and we're valuing it at 30, and I'm going to give you one sela every month. You're allowed. Why? You didn't make it into a monetary thing. What do you mean? We just did. We said it's worth 30. You just did. So the nekuda here is, even though if the cow goes down in value while it's alive, we don't care. You give it back as is. So in other words, the assessment wasn't done for live animals, only for dead animals. So what do you see? See that even though he took upon himself full responsibility of the cow, it's not an alva. It's not considered a loan. Why? Because it's only after the death. So Gemara says, so too by the ship. Okay, you know what? Maybe we should stop right over here because I really have to catch my flight and I have to pack. Rabbi Yisai, have a wonderful day. Be'ezer Hashem, we'll see you in Eretz Yisrael in Bet Shemesh, Ir HaKodesh. Givaldi Gishkoich, Mark again for everything. Thanks Chicago for having me. Sei gesund.